Nigerians are concerned about the duplicity and the deceit of successive governments with regards to fuel price increase by every successive government. Yet again, this government is headed towards increasing the fuel price, hiking the prices of fuel to as much as 302 naira. I mean, what would be the impact of this on Nigerians, and more importantly, are Nigerians ready for another hike?
The impact will be devastating. It will be akin to drawing blood from a malnourished person. And I say this because even before now, in the course of the past 6 years, we have had a rapid decline in the standard of living of average Nigerians. We have had all of the indices spiking, going up. When you talk about unemployment, there has been a very steep increase between 2014 and now. Now you are talking about nothing less than 33.3% unemployment rate, and that's just the general rate. When you begin to talk about the youth unemployment rate, it's over 40%. The number of out-of-school children has increased exponentially. The prices of basic amenities of food and all other basic needs of ordinary people has also increased over the past 2 years. So that when you now had the consequence of the fuel price hike, it's going to be devastating. It would lead to new levels of poverty, of misery, and of barbarism in this country. And that is why it is important that the labor movement, the left movement, the civil society organizations, that we come together and ensure that we build a mass resistance to this policy.
Yeah, considering the fact that this government has always said they've removed fuel, subsidy, and the duplicity with regards to removal of subsidy. Who to believe as far as this is concerned? Has there ever been a removal of subsidy at any point in time?
No, there have been attempts to remove. Over the past few years. In fact, there have been partial removers, and then you have had a situation whereby, at a period, the Buhari government claimed to be doing what they call under recovery. These are just different terminologies describing the same thing. But I think what all of this confusion also demonstrates is the fact that the ruling elites have no answer to the crisis. What they are waiting for now is for the Dangote Refinery, to become functional, possibly by the tail end of this year, with the expectation that if that happens, is going to resolve a part of the problem. But we socialists have continued to argue, and will continue to argue that. And that point is that the existence of a private refinery in Nigeria is not an answer to the problem. Because we have had, for instance, the private sector dominating the cement, sector in Nigeria. At least over the past 2 decades. You have had a situation whereby, two individuals, Dangote and I think Rabiu, have been the major producers and determinant of the price of cement in Nigeria. And despite that, the price of cement has continued to go up so much that even government now, to even do construction, has become a major crisis because of the cost of cement and how it also impacts other costs, of building materials, in the country. We have had the example of the privatization of the electricity sector, with majority of the people who bought, the former NEPA being Nigerians, indigenous capitalist element. And yet, apart from the fact that electricity, generation and supply has not improved over the past few years, Nigerians have continued to battle with even higher tariff. When you look at these two examples, it goes to show that it's going to be an illusion to expect that Dangote Refinery will be an answer. And interestingly, the MD of the Dangote refinery has on many occasions made it clear to Nigerians that when that refinery comes upstream, they are going to be selling their refined products on the basis of international price. What that means therefore is that Dangote refinery coming upstream will not in any way mean that the price of fuel for domestic consumption will be any better. And that is why the demands that we have made over time, that the labour movement has made over time, for the federal government to refurbish the existing refineries and build new ones, but most importantly to also place them under democratic control and management, is an important demand at this period. We do not need a Dangote refinery to replace the foreign refineries that we have been shipping Nigeria's crude oil to over the past decades. What we need is for Nigeria and Nigerians to have full control and ownership of the crude oil, which is a natural endowment. And you can only have that full ownership as a nation, as a people, on the basis of the nationalization of that sector under democratic control of not just workers but also the oil producing communities. And that is only possible when you have a situation whereby all private interests in that sector, are expelled. I mean, it's even a trending and a trenching. The Nigerian government is considering private refinery at this period. Given the legacy of the private sector in the oil and gas sector in Nigeria, no sensible Nigerian government ought to even be considering that. The level of oil spillage and devastation in the Niger Delta today is a product of the unrestrained exploitation of the crude oil resources by so-called oil majors, ExxonMobil and co, who continue to ride roughshod over the oil producing communities in order to extract the crude oil, thereby despoiling the land and the rivers of that area and destroying the livelihoods of many of the communities. It was this same unrestrained exploitation of the oil sector and the domination of that sector by the oil majors that led to the killing of Saro-Wiwa in 1995. Since that time, many activists in that area have faced all kinds of demonization and victimization. So that when you even look at that issue alone, it ought to have taught Nigerians that private sector is never a solution to the problem that we face in this country. And I say it today that the Dangote refinery is only going to be an addition to that problem. What we need is public refineries under public control and nationalization of the oil and gas sector under the control and management of the working people. Without that, we'll continue to be in this crisis.
Thank you very much, sir. We're good. Good to go. Nigerians are concerned and worried about the duplicity and deceit of successive governments with regards to the politics of fuel price increment. Again, Nigerians are faced with another hike in fuel prices. Should Nigerians be worried, and what would be the impact of this on on teeming masses of Nigerians?
Yes, Nigerians have the basis to be worried. Your choice of words are quite explicit and quite succinct. The successive governments have been duplicitous, irresponsible, unreliable, and pretentious. Most of the governments we have had claim to be socially responsible, and pretended to be committed to the welfare of the Nigerian people. But ironically, most of the government the country has had were committed to a neoliberal agenda, which impoverished and alienated the Nigerian people. The social policies and the economic policies the country have been through in 2 decades or more such that made Nigerians poorer, and that made Nigerians live on the fringes of the social economy. And they have a reason to be worried that it could be worse. There's a genuine reason. More so when this government made some commitments at the level of campaigns pre-election to pursuing certain policies that would reduce, poverty level and alleviate, social sovereignty and so on and so forth. But it's apparent that the incumbent leadership would rather exacerbate the rather harsh social conditions. So the Nigerian people have a basis to be worried.
Now let me ask, there have been calls for the revamping of the Nigerians, the 4 refineries. And over the years, humongous amounts have been expended towards turnaround, maintenance, and the revamping of the refinery. Yet nothing has actually come. What is the way out of this doldrum?
Well, you know what? The tragedy of the discussion is this. When the seemingly endless cycle, how do I mean? We keep discussing the same issue again and again. We've been talking about these issues for decades. I'm almost tired. Though we should not be tired, we should continue to discuss it, interrogate and reinterrogate the issue. It is obvious that there would not be basis to campaign for subsidy removal if there is such subsidy when the public refineries are producing at less than full capacity, if not less than half capacity. It is symptomatic of an irresponsible state. It is the failure, or rather the seeming collapse of the refinery is symptomatic of a state that lacks the capacity to govern. It's suggestive of a malevolent and irresponsible state. It is suggestive of an incapable state. A state that lacks the capacity to manage its political economy in such a sense that retains its national sovereignty and integrity. What else should we be talking about? The need to revamp the refineries. It's an imperative. It's a national imperative. It borders on national pride and national security. In fact, it is an emergency. The Nigerian state ought to do it and do it urgently. What else should we be talking about? When should it be? If the state or the political class is not laid back and irresponsible, when else should it be? It should have happened. It should be now. It could have been in the past, but it should be now. When else will it be? When else will it be?
Thank you so much. Increase in another increase in fuel price. Can Nigerians farmers afford another increase at this point in time? And what is the Labour leadership going to do?
All right. It is not a news again. It is what everybody have been hearing and listening to. Though not surprising because we know our government is a capitalist, driving government, and so they don't care about the poor masses. All they are interested is how to gulp money into their pocket. So for every Nigerians, we know that it is the duty of government to think in their own way. And the masses, the poor masses, also have to structure themselves. I think what we are having, the problem we are having now, is that the less privileged people are not coming together as a people to fight the just of liberation. If not, it is now. It is since I've become an adult. The issue of fuel increment has been an almost every government, activities. So giving us all the experiences right from Babangida. I remember even during the meeting time now. I remember when the late Gani Fawemi came on here. When Babangida want to increase from 3 naira to 7 naira, the late Gani Fawemi came on air on TV analyzing the cost of producing from crude oil to final product. That all these people are just deceiving the Nigerian people. That even with the 3 naira then, they are making profit. Now you want to take it to 7 naira. Then 7 naira. We are now talking of 160 something. So it is something that is not understandable, and all in the name of business. So I think as a labor union, or let me just say as a Nigerian people, all we need to know and understand is that government are deceiving us, and what we need to do is to come together and fight the system to stop.
Thank you very much.